without feedback and reinforcement from others, who literally cannot run out and play and be alone without feeling lonely and at odds with the universe, are ripe for a collectivization of their political will, which to me is dangerous. Now, when you combine that with what a friend of mine at the National Security Agency says, and he says it with anxiety in his voice, he says, you know, we have invented everything necessary for a police state. And since 9/11, a lot of it has been implemented. But we do not have the precipitating event, e.g. Pakistan last week, real or imaginary. Operation Northwoods. You know about Operation Northwoods? You know about that. You should, well, no. I'll tell you later. Yeah, Google Operation Northwoods as a possibility, a way some people in our political structures think about what should be done. And you'll see why there are real dangers. But
I think
I think yeah.
One more quick thing to add
new.
to that is I think that if you look at, say, the conceptions of shame in Roman and Greek society, you'll see people viewing themselves as a function of their perception in others' eyes much more than you would in a modern society, in a sort of guilt-structured society. And so we might be reverting to that with new technology. The existence, though, of a society in which its members view themselves as a function of others' perception of them is something that's very ancient.
Right. I won't argue with that. But it is a new iteration. And it is at a level of a different kind of complexity. And if I am correct, that whether it's speech or writing or printing press or electronic communication beginning with the telegraph around 1820, if each one of these is a true formative event, because our technologies frame and shape our very way of perceiving, being, behaving, and thinking, then while it will reiterate fundamental human nature at a new level, it will be at a new level. So I think I am not an expert on all of the varieties of cultural expression of the dynamics we're talking about. And so it could look like a reversion to that, but I'm still trying to make the case that it's not a reversion to the way a Roman citizen conceived of him or herself. That you can find antecedents for all of these things in other cultures, but that what is emerging is fundamentally different because of all the other inputs into human identity. Okay? Is that Victor?
Hopefully, a brief comment. I like very much what you said about the necessity to turn context into content, that is to realize the premises you bring into a situation. And in the same serious tone, I want to go to your deep-seated guilt complex about having cheated when you talk to Bruce or whoever. My view of the situation is that the examiners, the people who were running those quizzes or whatever, were cheating on you because they violated what we call the sincerity condition of a speech act. They asked you to answer a question to which they didn't need you to answer because they knew the answer. and you did the best you could. They cheated on you and you responded as if they were not cheating.
Right. You're right. What a fool I have been.
Yeah, I remember reading in the mid-1950s a mediocre novel by a mediocre American nuclear physicist turned mediocre novelist by the name of Mitchell Wilson, who wrote novels about physicists, which is a kind of a self-defeating idea to start with. But there was something.
Well, they have no emotional life.
But there's something
so
there
what
that
the
was a
consist
formative experience for me, and I have used it again and again. I have been subjected to it and use it again and again as an instructor. There were two talented brothers in physics at Princeton, and they needed to submit a senior bachelor thesis or something like that. And the instructor told them, take half a year, go and invent something. That is an exam. And the whole point was that they invented TV or something which led to the TV. So if you go back from the exam situation and rethink it, you see who the real cheater was.
You are a mensch. You are a real mensch.
May I have it in writing?
Thank you. That alleviates my guilt, although it is embedded in such other behaviors of adolescence that I don't think we have the time or appropriately the opportunity here to explore that in depth. But you're pointing me towards some necessary therapy, and I appreciate that very much.
I'll go with you.
Okay. All right. So I guess I'm trying to make the point that the structure, all software, all hardware, all human beings are embedded in a single complex system, so that when we define security, which is kind of what we're talking about, where in that complex system is the point of departure for defining the entire system? How can you see the system from within itself? Human-machine symbiosis creates a unique set of interesting conundrums. The environment, said a friend, in which the logic is running is an unknown from a security standpoint. This means the environment needs to be audited too. It is not a good idea to use new environments for security critical code. For example, when PHP came out, people rushed to it because it was easy to use, but look at all the problems that came down the road. In other words, the context, as Victor brought me back to center, must become content statement, is a necessity, not merely a good idea. Because during radical change, the newly emergent realities that are coming into the center of our consciousness from the edges are redefining management and human identity and everything. And it may sound crazy, and I want to introduce you to the thought that a lot of what I think sounds crazy. When I first sent that essay on the transformation of religious structures into that journal, it literally sounded crazy to them. And I understand that. I am now writing about new things that sound equally crazy. And I have to go back to other people to kind of stabilize myself sometimes. One of them is Robert Galvin, who was the great man at Motorola, who built Motorola through its great formative years into the entity that it became. And he was there for real critical breakthroughs. And people sometimes asked him, breakthrough ideas, these incredible ideas you had there for a kind of chip you developed or handheld this or whatever, where do they come from? And he thought seriously about it. And this is a man who had remarkable success for 40 or more years. And he said, every idea that turned out to be a breakthrough idea began its life as an opinion of one. If someone said it aloud, first you think it, and then our own filter internally screens out anomalies. And because of appropriateness and social niceties, we don't allow ourselves, except I do, to say the unthinkable. We don't even say it. But if we say it, no one hears it. In other words, it just doesn't compute. It literally does not attach to any of the grabbers in our cognitive structure. But if someone says it again and again and people finally hear it, they laugh. Because it sounds funny. It sounds crazy. Wisdom and insanity are contextual. And when the context changes, what was insane under one set of conditions becomes eminently sane and creative and original and breakthrough under another. And so if the people keep saying it and endure the derision and the laughter and the hooting and the water fountain conversation about what an idiot they are that they hear coming around, if you can endure all that, then you finally live long enough to emerge where people not only say they thought it was a good idea, but they always thought so all along. Everybody agrees that it was a wonderful idea. And Galvin said the corollary was also true. This is important in an academic setting. He said that every time we had a problem that we confronted that was really challenging, and we surfaced it in a very explicit way, if someone suggested a solution and everybody immediately agreed that that's what we should do, it was always wrong. Now, he said always. He didn't say often. He said it was always wrong. Now, if you think about what I'm saying, our ideation, our way of thinking about things, is in part a function of our technologies, which frame and shape them and make available new possibilities, literally, for ourselves and for our world. Therefore, in the world of agreement of social structures in which human beings live, there is a constant flux. As I said, from the edge to the center. The truth begins at the edge, can't be heard, can't be seen, moves to the center and becomes the core of a new consensus. By the time it arrives at the center and a new consensus is